So this chapter is on reading and interpreting pie graphs. So in this chapter, you'll learn simply how to read a pie chart. So here's what you need to know. What is a pie chart? A pie chart is a circular graph that makes it easy to compare different parts of data in a whole. So for example, if we had 8 students all together in the class and this circle was cut up into 8 pieces, and I said, well, hold on, 5 out of 8 students are girls and 3 out of 8 students are boys, then if I color in these 3 segments, I can then compare it with the other 5 pieces right here, and I would be able to tell on this pie graph that there are less boys than there are girls in the class. So a pie chart basically makes it easy to compare different parts of data in a whole. So the first thing you need to understand is understanding how a pie chart is broken apart. So this comes into our fractions. Here on the right side, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 circles. And each of them are broken up into different pieces. So in the first one, you'll see that it's broken into 2 pieces. So each part of the circle represents 1/2 or 50% each. On the next one, they're broken into thirds. So each part of the circle represents 33.3% or 1/3. In this one, it's broken into pieces of 1/4 or 25%. This one is 1/5, or otherwise known as 20%. This is 1/6, which is equivalent to 16.6%. This is 1/7, which is known as 14.2%. This is 1/8, which is known, each slice is known as 12.5%. This is 1/9, where each piece is 11%, or actually, more precisely, 11.1%. These are tenths, where each piece represents 10%. So let me write that more clearly. These are 11ths, where each piece represents 9%. And finally, this is 12ths, where each piece represents 8.3%. Now, you don't need to memorize the percentage, but it helps. The ones that should be automatic to you is halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixes, eighths, and tenths. So those are the ones I would recommend that you at least make sure you understand the fraction, such as 1/2, and its equivalent percentage, which is equal to 50%, or 1/4, which is 25%. Okay? Now, let's go into the first skill, reading a pie chart. The pie chart shows the number of animals in an animal hospital. There were 24 cats. So when we come to these word problems, they give a lot of big hints, and it's up to us to read it carefully. Now the question is, how many animals were there all together? So if we look at this pie chart, we'll notice that the pink part represents the cats, the dogs are represented by blue, orange represents rabbits, and green is the others, kind of like lizards or gerbils. Now, there are 24 cats. So this pink part represents 24 cats. So if we know that that part represents 24, that means this remaining part, that right here in blue, orange, and green, also has to represent 24 animals, a mix of 24 animals, and we don't know precisely how much of each. Not yet, at least. So we know that, since the question is how many animals were there all together, all you have to do is say 24 plus 24, which makes 48 animals altogether. And that's it. Now, you can use this to also estimate approximately how many dogs and approximately how many rabbits there were using your eyes to try to interpret how much it's broken apart. So if we know that this part is 24, we can say that this blue piece right here is approximately, that's not the most accurate, approximately 1/3 of the piece, this pink piece, right? Now we don't know precisely, we can approximate because we don't have any information about the dogs. We can say it's approximately 1/3 of 24 based on that. So if we want to figure out how many dogs there is, we can say, well, if it's approximately 1/3 of that 24, because it makes up that much of a piece, that means it probably is 24 divided by 3, 8 dogs. Okay? That's a way to just kind of continue interpreting the information, although that question's not asked. Let's move on. Okay, so now the second question is, these pie charts show the dog ownership in two different streets. There's Cairn Lane and Labrador Road. The pink represents the dog owners. The orange represents how many people are not dog owners. So the question they ask you is, can you say that there are more dog owning households in Cairn Lane than there are in Labrador Road? So why don't you take a moment and pause and take a really close look. Now keep in mind, are you given any information to really know the answer for sure? So pause and just think about this for a moment and answer the question in your notebook. Okay, so can you say that there are more dog-owning households in Cairn Lane than there are in Labrador Road? Now, I can bet that some of you said, yes, you can, because, well, look at Cairn Lane. That pink part is so much bigger than the blue part, the pink part on the other side. But actually, no, you can't. And here's the reason why. Since both charts don't tell us how many people or what percent were surveyed, we could figure out percentage. We could say that this one's approximately 49%, almost 50%. And could say this is almost about 25% or 1/4, right? So we could say, we can estimate that. We know the percentage. But we don't know actually how many people were surveyed. So for example, what if on this pie chart, this whole thing represented only 12 people, and this segment represented 5, and this part represented 7. And what if this one right here, the people surveyed, represented actually 100 people, and this part actually represented 25? Then technically, based on this, even though this segment seems smaller than this, here, there are actually more dog owners than there are here, right? So the answer to why this is, can we say that there are more dog-owning households in Cairn Lane than there are Labrador Road, is no, because we don't actually know how many people were surveyed. So the thing is about pie charts, we also have to make sure when we read them that we're being really careful that we understand the numbers, if there are numbers, because sometimes it can be very misleading. And that's it.